The United States is a free country, built on the belief that everybody has the right to leave their homes, enjoy public spaces, and go about their business without fear of violence or retribution. Yet the rise of hate speech and racially motivated violence in the U.S. indicates an increase in explicit racism over the past 5 years, as our political context has become increasingly polarized and divided. So why is this occurring? Well, there isn't just one explanation. In fact, the motivations for racially and ethnically motivated violence, they can vary. They range from thrill-seeking behavior to racially and ethically motivated attacks by those that are radicalized to extreme ideologies. These crimes are unique in the fact that they affect both the primary victim of the attack as well as erode the basic fabric of our society and threaten our democracy.
Oh my God! Oh my God!
My name is Windisch. I'm an assistant professor at Temple University, and I'm also a research affiliate at the National Counterterrorism Innovation and Technology Education Center. Both my graduate and undergraduate teaching at Temple, as well as my research, focuses on white supremacy and hate crime violence. Over the years, my colleagues and I have undertaken intensive life history interviews with former members of white supremacist groups. And this approach is a little bit unique because we're breaking away from these traditional approaches that look at static or stationary phases of an extremist life course. Instead, we're looking across multiple stages, from the extremist childhood to their adolescence and to their adulthood. And so in doing so, we've been able to highlight multiple overlaps with conventional criminal offending and violent extremism. For instance, some of my research underscores the similarities to extremism in conventional criminal offending, including the presence of childhood risk factors, maladaptive coping like alcohol and drug abuse, as well as adolescent misconduct. And this all occurs before they embrace an extremist ideology. Moreover, although motives and ideology are important in establishing a history of violence, we also have found that extremists must overcome certain micro-level obstacles such as fear and hesitation in order to commit violence. So this essentially shows us that extremists are no better at violence than everybody else. There's also a conflict that emerges as those that accept radical ideologies sometimes disagree as they construct and negotiate their collective identity that leads to violent and aggressive worldviews. So what is a hate crime? Well, in the most basic sense, hate crimes are criminal acts, like any traditional crime, like murder, arson, vandalism, against a person or property, but they're unique in that they are motivated by the offender's bias, which could be against their race, religion, sexual orientation, gender, or gender identity. The specific categories are going to vary by state. But for ordinary crimes, it's helpful to know the intent. So for instance, let's take manslaughter. Manslaughter can be distinguished from murder because it involves unintentionally killing another person, whereas murder involves intentionally killing a person. But hate crimes are unique. For hate crimes, the prosecutor has to prove the offender's motive. They have to prove in the court that that crime would not have occurred had it not been for the offender's hatred. So for instance, an offender attacks a synagogue. The prosecutor has to prove that that crime would not have occurred if it wasn't for the offender's anti-Semitic beliefs. And of course, getting this information can be a little bit tricky, but police officers and investigators have developed strategies over the years, one of which is collecting evidence through witness interviews, including what they saw or heard during the crime. In the recent years, prosecutors have started to turn to digital media and social media postings to see whether the person had previously posted things like on Twitter that maybe underscores their biased motivation. So why are hate crimes given this specific attention? Well, hate crimes in their most basic sense are sentencing enhancements that provide longer sentences where the offense is motivated by the offender's bias. Of course, this opens the door for critics to say that these laws are redundant and that our criminal justice system has already punished the offender for committing murder and arson or vandalism, and that we're giving them an additional crime for something they've already been charged. But hate crimes differ from other crimes of violence. Hate crimes really should be viewed as message crimes that attack a person's identity. The message is simple. There are certain people that are unwelcome and unsafe in where they live and where they work. In this way, hate crimes are intended to terrorize both the victims, their families, as well as the larger society around them. As we can see, victims of hate crimes are being attacked for something that they cannot change, like their race or religion or sexual orientation. So due to the nature of the hate crime, victims may experience more psychological distress, such as anger or shame, than victims of other types of violent crimes. A couple of the current issues that we're dealing with today. One of which is most pressing is, despite the volume of hate crimes reported to the FBI over the last several years, hate crimes are woefully underreported for a variety of reasons. First and foremost, many police departments don't report hate crimes to the FBI. This is voluntary. So more than the 15,000 law enforcement agencies that report hate crimes, nearly 90% say that they have none in their state. Second, because they're given little credence, victims of hate crimes often do not report crimes to law enforcement. Victims can also be deterred for a variety of reasons, like language barriers, distrust with law enforcement, concerns about their immigration status, or just simply not knowing where and how to report it. And of course, victims and witnesses may not want to relive that traumatic event, so they'd rather not report that as well. The challenge for policing is not just investigating hate crimes. It's also about making sure those who experience or witness them come forward to the police or call the FBI. So unless we recognize the nature of the threat, we can't move forward in addressing these problems in a more multifaceted and comprehensive way.